Hey, welcome back everyone. I hope you're all having an amazing day today, and given that The Mandalorian Season 3 finale is now up on Disney Plus by John, George, and Dave, as well as others out there, a lot of fans have really been questioning exactly what's going to happen with the Ahsoka Tano series, given that this is going to be a show full of revelations and full of surprises and reveals that's really going to change specific elements of the Star Wars franchise. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, given that Kathleen Kennedy has been very busy with shows out there like The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew for the time being, and really spending a lot of time on other aspects of those shows, given that there's been a lot of rewrites and refilming for the actual shows to really kind of just change the course of those projects to make them as good as possible. And it's been a very, toxic environment for both of those shows, to say the least. Now, recently, Kathleen Kennedy had a couple of things to talk about when it comes to the Star Wars fandom that's really not all that delightful at all in the least, and it really doesn't make any of the current situation any better, and that's talking about the fan division, the overall problems with the Star Wars community to this day, and what Kathleen Kennedy had to say about all of that. Now, given that there's a lot of things happening with numerous aspects of the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew with Leslie Headland and John Watts, and how they are reportedly doing something that's going to completely just dismantle George Lucas's philosophy of the franchise, Kathleen Kennedy went on to elaborate a lot of things just recently about what she thinks about the Star Wars fandom, George Lucas's philosophy on things, and everything related to that. Now, with Kathleen Kennedy endlessly working on the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, recently Kennedy engaged in an interview where she went on to criticize the fandom in the worst way possible. Now, Kennedy stated the following to the fans: "Well, it never amazes me how toxic the fandom can be, and I think this is the reason why we needed to move on from George's philosophy, because fans expect too much from us and our projects and the writers that create them. They always expect Star Wars to stay true to George's vision, but really it's something that we need to move away from to embrace the new, that can attract newcomers to the franchise. It's not healthy for Star Wars to cling to one creator's vision. I blame the fans directly for creating such a divide in the community. What they did to Ryan with The Last Jedi was inexcusable. It was immature, and I still support what he did and what he chose to do with Luke's story in that movie." So let me just pause here quick, guys, for 1 second, alright? Now, obviously, she's gonna agree with everything that Rian Johnson did with Luke in, of course, The Last Jedi. She obviously does not like that character. She never supported that character. And honestly, when you think about this, she believes that Rian did what was considered to be the best thing in Star Wars. She felt that telling such a different tale of Luke was the best avenue to take for that movie, to do something so drastically different in the middle point of the trilogy. And she is still to this day blaming the fans directly for creating a fan divide, when in reality, it was herself, Rian Johnson's writing of the film, and where that all headed. That was the major problem, and she just does not want to own her mistakes, and she never will. So, the thing about Kathleen Kennedy here is that she's basically saying that the best way to really, reunite the fans or cure the fan divide is to shift away from George Lucas's vision. And once again, she's really kind of trying to vilify George Lucas as a creator, as if this is creating a divide in the community, and as if this is kickstarting a toxic environment, when that's really not the case at all. It's just really equaling out to fans are very passionate and very much, attached to what they loved growing up with. And this is where things begin to get a little bit worse about what Kathleen Kennedy had to say about the Star Wars fans, about Rian Johnson, about, of course, The Last Jedi, and everything around all those areas. So, she goes on to say, "The fans really overreacted and caused unnecessary drama after The Last Jedi's release, and it only created more problems for me and the creators behind many of the projects that ended up getting put on the back burner." I think fans need to calm down. These are just movies and nothing more. It has nothing to do with the fans' everyday lives. We never destroyed anybody's childhood or anything like that. So, again, Kathleen Kennedy putting it out there that she feels that fans overreacted, that fans need to become a little bit more mature, that they're acting childish, that they never destroyed anybody's childhood. And look, Star Wars, to me at least, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree, it's more than just a franchise. There's something so special about it that Harry Potter, Marvel, or even Dune cannot even get close to touching. There's something very special about Star Wars. There's just some kind of magic attached to it that makes it stand on its own. Nothing can really be similar to that. And that's basically what Kathleen Kennedy is saying, is that she's trying to dismantle that magic with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, and that, I feel, is just wrong, and it crosses the line, and what she's saying here about the fans also crosses the line. There's no doubt about that. So, moving on, she goes on to say, this is exactly why it's a necessary step to focus away from George's work and to focus strictly on a new vision, and that's what we are doing with Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Many of the people we work with actually felt it was a breath of fresh air to shift away from George's work and to focus completely rebranding Star Wars into something new that fans have never seen before. We took inspiration from things like The Matrix and The Goonies for these shows, and it's spectacular. I cannot wait to share it with everybody. Now again, the thing about Season 3 right now is that there's obviously a lot of fans that have mixed emotions on it to this day, and the finale, I feel, was probably the best episode, to be real, out of all 8 episodes. It really did feel more like Star Wars to me, but when we look at how John and Dave have full creative power for anything moving onward throughout 2023, anything that's being filmed or produced in 2023 is what they have a lot of power over these days. And that's something that I think a lot of fans need to be proud of. But the fact is, Kathleen Kennedy does not care about you, she does not care about us, the fans, does not care about George or the philosophy of Star Wars, what it really stands for. And it really is just very, sad that this is how she looks at the fans, that this is what she blames the fans for, that this is how she labels George's vision as a cause of the fan divide. That's the problem that I have with Kathleen Kennedy in this scenario, and it's just not right. And when you really take a moment and pause and really think about it, Kathleen Kennedy really wants to dismantle the magic of Star Wars. That's exactly why The Last Jedi did not have the magic that it deserved. When you look at the prequels, as much hate as it got back in the 90s and the 2000s, it still had that magic of Star Wars. There's something about it where, when it pops up on TV, I'm sure that you guys can easily watch it from start to finish. But when the sequels pop up, it's more or less like you can only watch bits and pieces and then walk away from the TV and then just come back for the better moments in those movies. So anyways, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.